Hey folks, and welcome to the Pipnotic Symposium for 22nd of June 2020. Today we are going to run through a bunch of, we'll start with the Australian dollar, American dollar. I'm currently up in Northern Bali, which is very beautiful. We're flying back to Europe on the 3rd of July, so fingers crossed that our flight doesn't get cancelled again. And so this next week I'll probably continue to do symposiums, and then I'll probably go quiet for a while we're traveling. But once we get back to Denmark, then I will start doing the videos again, and things should be back to normal shortly thereafter. So thanks for your patience in this. I'm probably not going to be that active for just a few days while we're traveling, but as soon as we get back to Denmark, then I'll get back involved with everything again. Okay, so starting on the Australian dollar, American dollar, we see here we have approached this very low level here. If you look where this is a pretty nice price. Came down, the slingshot was pulled back, we rallied, accumulated, and then rallied. You can see that this green candle here closed above the high of the previous candle. This is next to this accumulation candle. The bodies of these are all lined up nicely, and so this is just a very nice buy zone. Here we have the child, here we have the parent. The price went through the child and poked into the parent. This is where we saw some incredible support for the Australian dollar, American dollar. Also, something to note is I believe in September the benefits from the government, or the kind of the package that the government in Australia has come with to help keep people or companies paying the salaries to their employees will stop. I think it's September. And when this happens, we'll probably see another correction in the Australian dollar, as there is potential for companies to begin to fold again as this kind of subsidization slows down or stops. I'm not exactly sure of the details, but I'll have to look into this. But I think in September all of this stops, and so this could cause or introduce some volatility to the Australian dollar relative to other currencies. But currently we are here, we're poking into this, as you can see, just up here, and price is kind of having a bit of a bounce at this area. We had this area of this sell zone. This is a sell zone because price came up, the slingshot was pulled back, and then we left. We went a little bit deeper. Okay, and here we have kind of a lot of children within this little area here, how we had price come down, move sideways, leave, slingshot was pulled back, and then we left. So price went a little bit deeper into pretty much the highs of the child, into this older sibling here, and now we had a bit of a pullback. So for the time being, maybe we can expect price to drift higher, but not without correcting first. And currently price poked into this weekly area of supply. This is a nice area. It was formed, it was drawn on the chart by the software a year or two ago, so there was plenty of time to plan this trade. The beginning of the sell zone was the high of the pullback. This is the monthly slingshot that we saw. Price went a little bit deeper into the plate of pancakes. We still have some pancakes on this plate. See, price did not go through it, and now we kind of had a bit of a pull off, and now we're kind of finding support at some price level here, which we can't really see on this time frame. So if we go to the smaller time frames, you can see it just here, how we had a micro slingshot in here. We'll just mark that off, then we'll go to the hourly, and then we'll probably be able to see it. Okay, so this is what we saw. We saw this area just here, how price came up, slingshot was pulled back, and we left, accumulated, left. So price went through the child into the parent just here. This is actually an older sibling. The parent is down here, and then we saw support for the Australian dollar at that price point. So I'm thinking that we could continue to buy pullbacks, although I'd like to see a deeper pullback. We have one just below price here, this area here, and this is essentially the one that was kind of the origin of the push above this high just here. So there's probably something in here that could be interesting for us, I think, to look at. Let's have a look on the smaller time frames, what that looks like on the 4 hour. It looks like this. Yeah, a little bit messy on the 4 hour, but nonetheless, we had tests, price failed many times, then we finally cut away. This is also a very nice area of demand just here. So this one here, price cut away, we managed to pull back a little bit to this micro demand or this buy zone, and then price had a tough time moving below that, and then we finally pulled back into this one, tested just above the edge of it, and then we had a nice deep retracement into it, and then price managed to rally away, removing this entering the sell zone of this for this area of supply. This is a supply, this is a sell zone. We poked through the top of the sell zone, sorry, the top of the supply, and we saw price move to the other side and begin to establish a buy zone, which was here. We tested it a couple of times, we went a little bit deeper, and this morning we're just moving away off this 4-hour area of child demand. Okay, but I think we have something down here. We'll have to wait and see. But I think also if we're looking to sell, then we want to be selling a lot higher. So staying on this time frame, let's just mark off where we are. Okay, so we have the highs just here. So let's go and have a look and see what we have. Let's move this so we're precise. Here we are. This is what we're reacting at. So we had, this one here left. So the area looks like this. Okay, we went roughly to this kind of slingshot. Here we have a clearer slingshot. This is a micro slingshot. This is a slingshot on the current time frame. Price was pulled back, and then we left, removing this. So this has got some clout. If we go a little bit further back, what we see, we have something else, which looks interesting. Just a really nice cutaway. Let's see if this has played a role. I bet you price tested it already. Now we can close. This one is gone. This one has been tested. So this is the one that price tested. This is a very interesting area just up here. So I like that a lot. So selling would be selling above the deepest retracement at this area here. Price didn't quite get there, so the beginning of the sell zone was here, and price got very close to it, and then we are starting to move away. But I think if price moves up to about the 7100 area, we should see some reactions at the price point. Okay, let's have a look at the American dollar Swiss franc. Going to the monthly. What are we doing? Okay, so we are range bound. As you can see, we're stuck between this buy zone and the highs here. Let's just mark this off. So we got something here. We have the lows here being respected, and so ideally you don't want to buy for a price any more expensive than the lows of this, and you don't want to be selling for a price any cheaper than the highs of this range. Go to the weekly chart, and here we have to look for these little patterns. And here currently we had a buy zone that was tested. Price went through it. We went to the next buy zone, and this is where we saw some support. And so we'll probably see some price reactions at this price point here. So moving from the low here, this is where we poked into. This is like the slingshot testing the parent. And if we have a look at that, you can see it pretty clearly right here, just here. So if we adjust that to the buy zone, which is right there, this is where price came to. This is the 93.92.9 area. This is just a really nice kind of poke, and also you can see how price rallied. We moved sideways for a very limited amount of time. We left, pulled the slingshot back, and then we went north. Okay, so here's the child. We tested the child. But you don't want to trade children. Not a good idea, both ethically and also within trading. Jokes aside, and we poked into this area of apparent demand. Okay, and so now we're reacting and wriggling higher, and so this could kind of wriggle up for a little while until we feed into something up here. And this is interesting because we had something in here that was tested. This one removed it, and so we want to have a look up into this area, because here we saw this level tested. So the slingshot had to get pulled back to here before we tested it, and so there's probably actually something up here which we can't see. So we've got a half-an-hour chart. We can probably see it. Let's have a look. Where are you? Yes, right here. Here's a distribution candle, and this one. So it looks like this. Okay, so this is what we have right there. So that would be an interesting area to entertain, the 96.50 area. Let's go to the 4-hour. You can just see it nice and clear here. A price tested, failed, tested, failed, tested. A little bit deeper than both of these. Then we left, distributed, and cut away. And then cut away. And Sorry about that, lost my voice. Posted into this area, and then we kind of cut away from there. Okay, because you can see, I mean, price came from here, but we did not manage to trade a hole below that area. So we had another retracement, advertising cheap prices, trying to onboard some sellers. And we did this by moving back to the kind of the beginning of the sell zone for this area of supply. This could be a pretty interesting area to have a look at just up here. Okay, this is also an interesting area, but I would prefer this one just up here for the reasons we just discussed. Okay, let's have a look at the pound, American dollar. We took a small loss on this one because we looked at this one here. And we got in at the absolute lows here. Price went up, so we were up quite a lot, about 0.5%, and price cut through it. Okay, so, and if you look at this, I mean, this is the 4-hour chart. This is just another one of those beautiful lessons. Look at the higher time frames, because when I click onto this time frame, then everyone will be like, okay, no wonder it went lower. Ready? Here we are. What did it do? It went into the daily demand. Look at that. It just went into the daily demand. This is where we found support. So this is where we are likely going to move away from, not from the 4-hour area that we discussed. Okay, so this is just a beautiful, beautiful example of that. Okay, so now, knowing that we're reacting at daily demand, well, here you can go to the smaller time frames and identify areas to trade at, knowing that we are trading at 4-hour demand. Okay, this is just daily demand. So this could be an interesting play, but notice as well that we have this area of supply that's formed very close to where our entry would be. So that would make me feel uncomfortable trading at that area, because it has to move through this one here. So maybe price will move away from this daily demand, poke into this 4-hour supply, and then move back down a little bit deeper into the daily demand before it is able to attract buyers to drive price higher. So I'll probably wait on this one before I have another stab at it. Okay, but that's what we saw on this one here. This is an interesting area just because of the sheer kind of strength in the departure. If we have a look on the weekly chart, so we get context. This is also kind of at the close. This is like a nice kind of price axis, as you can see, and it all originated from the open of this week of trading, and then we had 2 weeks of very, very bearish trading, and so this could be an interesting area just here to have a look at when price returns. But for the time being, I mean, if we look at this, I mean, I like this. This is just a very nice kind of a U-shape formation. Our price pokes into an area, something over here. We leave very quickly. The slingshot is pull back, and then we move higher. So this is a very interesting area right here. So 2 times the size. Okay, about the 21.15 area. But before we get too excited, it's nice to know where the buy zone is, because this is obviously reacting at something. And you can see immediately what it's reacting at. We had supply, which was tested, rather removed, tested, and then this is where price left from. Okay, so this is actually just price reacting at a flip zone. So we had an area of supply that was formed, price cut through it, tested it, so we had resistance becoming support. Okay, so this is very interesting, but if we have a look inside here, maybe we can see what it is that caused price to stall. Let's see if we can see. Yeah, and we have the accumulation candle right here, right there. So the reason I'm saying this is because we had the candle that left. The candle before has the shape and the anatomy of a very nice accumulation at that level. So this is where we can expect price to bounce at. We have a look at where price went to. It's probably pretty close to that area. Yeah, I mean, we poked just through it. Okay, so this is a really nice candle formation at this price point. Also here we had tests here at this distribution. Tested, price rallied, accumulated, and then we popped through. So it doesn't line up as beautifully as I like them to, but this is just a nice candle formation just prior to rather just after the departure of price through this area of supply. So if we have a little bit further down. I mean, your price could easily poke through. You can see on this time frame that we do have kind of like a parent-child, so I'd expect price to go towards the lows, then move away from there. But we do have this above price, which is just a nice sheer shirt tearing departure. But looking on the monthly, let's have a look. Yeah, on the monthly, price is very low. Does that mean it's not going to go lower? It doesn't, but it means that we have already onboarded some people who look to buy British pounds with American dollars. People who are looking to transact at these very low price levels for converting currencies. They've already done so, and you can see this very clearly in this huge monthly wick. Okay, and so we have on the weekly chart, you can see this price poked into these very low areas, and then we departed, moved sideways, slingshot, departure, trading above these highs, but now poking into this area of weekly supply that you can see here. So I'm thinking that we could buy, but you want to be buying lower, and you could sell, but you want to be buying from that daily supply and higher. Okay, and we have this one here which was tested. So you had the sell zone that was here, price didn't get there, we got to it, we almost poked into this area of supply, and this is where we left. So the beginning of the sell zone for this area of supply is actually the high, is actually the lower edge of this supply area. So selling from this price and above would also be good. You could also have a look down here in this area of weekly demand for potential setups. We do have this down here. Let's see if we can find something on the 4-hour chart or the small time frames. Yeah, this is the one we looked at. I like that a lot, but we want to maybe look lower. So scrolling back, and we have this. We have this nice formation here where price went to. Let's zoom out a little bit further so we can see everything. Okay, so we need to go further. We need to look in here, sorry. I guess we have to look in this candle right here. Let's do that. Let's go to the 4-hour first of all and scroll here. So this is the buy zone, and this is the area of demand, but there's not a lot of clarity in this one, so we'll have to analyze it a little bit more, which requires smaller time frames. And you can see here how price rallied, accumulated, price went up, went down to roughly this area, moved up sideways, went up, moved down, and then we left. So we do have a couple of areas. We have this one here, like a buy zone just here, but this is a child, and this is probably looking more like a parent. So I'm thinking when price gets down to this area here, if we kill this and go to the 4-hour or the daily, you can see it puts us nicely within this area of daily demand at right the low of this candle here, and this is the one that left the accumulation candle just prior. Okay, so the 117.57 looks like an interesting area as well, and there's probably going to be some other areas down here once price rebalances, returns to the origin of the move. They remove this and something just in here, and that would bring us down to the lower half of this daily demand. So there's something to look for in there. Let's have a look at the American dollar, Japanese yen. On the monthly chart, where are we? Yeah, we're range bound. We're just bouncing back and forth. We had this area here. We had a parent, we had child, price went through the child into the parent almost, and we left, moved to the other side to these micro suppliers here, and we tested. We start to move down and break down. So price is pretty range bound looking at this, and so essentially you want to be buying but much lower. And there's a big wick here showing that there's a lot of buying pressure from down here, and price actually went down to the buy zone for this area of demand, which is pretty deep into it, and it's the low of this candle that left. So you could entertain the idea of buying at the absolute lows of this candle here, in anticipation that it's going to wriggle north from there. We also have this one down here, which I like, how price kind of went up, slingshot, departure. So from the low of this candle on lower, good opportunities. Yeah, and I mean, I wouldn't want to sell on this time frame for a price any cheaper than the highs of the deepest retracement. So I pull back into this area of supply. Okay, that doesn't mean you can't do that, but it means you have to go to the smaller time frames and identify those micro areas. We can do that on the weekly chart. Oh no, my battery's dying. Okay, so we have a price moved up to this pattern, price went up, went down, we closed below this one here, we came very close to it, just here, almost perfectly just poked into it, and then we left. And this is kind of like the candle here that kind of poked up into this, and price closed below, telling us that we have supply just in this area just here. We also moved below these lows. You can see price tested this price point again, we went up. The origin of the move that cut through it is here. Okay, and if you look, the reason I put it like that is because this is the body, the lower the body of the area of distribution is just here. This candle closed below it, telling us that there's a transition in sentiment between this week and this week. Okay, so the low of the body of this candle is where you want to go. This is where price came to almost perfectly, which is remarkable. Okay, going to the euro American dollar. What do we have here? Price is really racing north, having no trouble at all moving through all of this. We poke down into this, which is kind of the origin of this move high that came up into this sell zone. And so price is having a nice easy time moving through that. If we have a look on, let's have a look on the monthly. A lot of objects, let's remove those. Here we still have this below, which I like, right there, and above price. We have this, just here. And so kind of moving between these two areas may be quite interesting. We tested this monthly area to the pip almost, and then we're looking to move north. And because we've started to remove highs, I think this is probably going to continue higher for a little while at least. Maybe until we get to the beginning of the sell zone, which is here for this area of child supply. Okay, and this is also kind of a flip zone, how price went up, went down, went up, went down, went through it, slingshot, departure. And so this kind of price axis looks pretty interesting. I don't even know what this price point is. Let's have a look. 118.50-ish area. This could be a pretty interesting price. We have a look on the weekly. And price is showing enormous strength. I can't really see a lot. Here we had this area of demand that the software told us about when this green candle here closed. It drew this box saying buy this price point. And price is currently reacting at that. Yeah, which is this one just here. Okay, but looking at this, it's not too interesting, I don't think, because I mean, there's a lot of kind of like, this is, if we spoke about how we have kind of a lot of chaos here, a lot of mess, and it stops here. So I'd be looking below this, somewhere in here. So we have chaos, and here we have kind of order, a nice clarity, as you can see here, which brings us down to this. Then we have another period of chaos from here to here. Then the order begins below that. And then we have more chaos. And then we have order from here. So we have a few different buy zones below price. Let's get these sudden. So we have this is the low. Price came up, moved up and down pretty quickly. And so I mean, buying below the 110.60 area would be interesting. And we do have this little area just here, but it's not so beautiful. So I would probably skip that one. And I would look to the buy zone of this area here, sorry, for this area of demand, slingshot, departure. So that might be quite interesting. Yeah, but a few things to look at there. I'm going to wrap this up because my computer's about out of battery once more. But if you have any questions, please drop them in the video or in the Discord channel. Once again, thanks for watching.